Hello, everybody. Welcome to WCCF Talks. We've not got a Keith today. He's just work shy. Nobody likes him anyway. So we've got Kai. Say hello, Kai.
Hello. Cheers.
We have the alcoholic Dave.
You know it.
And we have Alessio.
Hi.
Who's below me on the screen. Right, so, well, the topic's fairly obvious. Xbox Game Showcase. The games that are most important. Psychonauts 2. No other game is important. And what everybody thinks about that. And also the general strategy of Microsoft in the upcoming console war. Because it will be a war. We all know that. So let's start it off with Alessio. Let's see what you want to talk about with the showcase.
Well, let's begin with the obvious. I mean, it was rather underwhelming, let's say, showcase. I mean, the PlayStation 5 showcase from last month wasn't quite spectacular. It had some highlights, of course, but it wasn't the best showcase they ever made, and still. This one that we saw just a couple of days ago, it was far, far worse, I think. And mostly, I think what struck me is that aside from Halo Infinite, which we'll get into a bit more later, but most everything else from Microsoft was CGI trailers, and
too much of a difference.
Yeah, and it was, State of Decay 3, for example, CGI trailer, and the developers have said it's early in pre-production. So I mean, it's at least a couple of years, if not 3, away. And also something that I didn't actually think would happen. It's the fact that the new Forza game is not actually launching with the Xbox Series X, which was really surprising because actually they already skipped a year. They've been quite regularly outputting new Forza games every 2 years or so.
Yeah, between Horizon and the regular series.
Yeah, and now it's been 3 years, and yet the new Forza game is, again, according to Turn 10, it's early in development, which means I'm guessing it won't be ready until probably September next year, not this one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's...
well, with you saying about the showcase, we spoke about this before when the Xbox decided to show off some games. Like you said, a lot of CGI trailers. Do you not they talked about how they were going to do better, show more gameplay? Do you not think they've just fallen into the same pitfall?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, it was overall they had more gameplay compared to their own mini showcase in June.
In all fairness,
but
that wasn't difficult. I'm showing more gameplay in that showcase now.
Yeah, and I mean, there was gameplay, but it was mostly from third-party developers, and that's not to say there weren't any interesting games. I mean, for example, the new Everwild trailer I thought was really cool. I mean, the visuals was great. And at the same time, that's also a game that's not coming out anytime soon. So it's basically they are launching the Xbox Series X with Halo Infinite, which, again, itself didn't quite set the world on fire, right? So it's...
Well, we were talking about that a little earlier. I think Dave and Kai have both got something quite strong to say about Halo and Fable.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Well, yeah, I really like the idea of Halo Infinite. I think because from everything they've said so far, it seems like it's going to be a live service style title, which, I mean, Bungie already tried it, and Bungie has a better track record than 343. That's all I'll say about that.
So
You
we're
know what I
thinking
mean?
it's just going to be a Destiny Halo version.
I mean, I've been saying this since the original trailer, because even in the original trailer, you've got the beacons in the background, like shooting stuff into the sky. And even watching that, I was like, if that isn't world events and other players, I don't know what the hell it is. As it turns out, it probably is world events and other players. And I don't want it.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be. I honestly doubt it will be kind of an MMO-like game like Destiny. I don't think it will.
Well,
be.
they've already said it's a platform for 10 years of content, just like Destiny. So
yeah, but I think
let's go.
they are more thinking of something like their own Halo Master Chief Collection. Like they are going to add games to the
A new
same
trilogy of sorts.
Yeah.
Doubt it. I'm gonna say straight up no. I'm gonna say straight up no, because why wouldn't they just release a new game? Unless this is going to be part of the strategy of making Games Pass a more essential thing.
I mean, I've asked them. I've got the chance yesterday to participate in a press Q&A, and I asked them exactly this question: what did they mean when they said it will be a platform for future installments? And it was the answer was vaguely non-committal, as it often is, but basically they said that they are thinking about not just this installment, but also the next generation of Halo games and experiences. And basically they said we'll still have more stories of Master Chief to tell, and they want those stories to become part of Halo Infinite over time for years to come. That's basically what they said. So
all seems very, very odd, because if they were thinking about the next generation Halos, why are they saying a cross-platform game is going to be a platform for 10 years of content?
I don't know.
It can't be a next generation game if it's on Xbox One. That's just... I don't think I need to keep waving my arms to point that out, because it seems really obvious. Like, at some point, the technology is going to catch up with them. And at some point, they're going to realize, wow, Halo Infinite in 2025 looks kind of crap compared to the competitors on the newer game engines. And they're going to be struggling with a game engine from 2018.
That's why I'm thinking
which is still optimized for an old-ass Xbox One.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking,
that's
like
not
I said,
next
they're
gen.
probably thinking, same as when Destiny said 10 years worth of 10 years. That's the
thing, though. They meant it. Destiny meant it.
Yeah.
Bungie meant a 10-year platform, and then they realized, oh, our platform is ruined. Let's make Destiny 2, and that'll be the platform.
Oh, so I don't know, maybe I read wrong, but I read that the original plan was for an actual trilogy, 3 games every...
So here's the thing. With Destiny, they totally originally intended to have an entire galaxy to explore. They realized they messed it up too bad. Went on to Destiny 2. Destiny 2 was originally intended to have all the content of Destiny 1. Wasn't compatible because the changes they made to the engine wasn't good. Okay. This is what's going to happen to Infinite, and I can't believe that it's 7 years on and we're having this problem. How come 343 are constantly playing catch up to Bungie, and now it's playing catch up to Bungie's mistakes? That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
We could obviously find out later this year that it's different. Or well, we won't find out later this year. We'll find out further down the line. But yeah.
Kai, what do you think?
What do you think, Kai? Kai, you're quiet. I think you've muted yourself.
Oh, bloody hell, I was still muted. Anyways, as far as the live service goes, does that mean that Halo's going to try and throw an itemization in there to try and play catch up to the RPG mechanics of Destiny? How is that going to work to keep players engaged in that world?
I can interject right there, because one of the questions that was made in the roundtable Q&A was precisely if this is going to be a bit more of an RPG, but they said it's definitely not going to be an RPG. And so, with regards to the like the grappling hook and stuff like that. They just said that they want players to have the freedom to explore. They mentioned this will be like several times larger than the 2 previous campaigns combined in terms of scope. And basically they said this will be like Halo CE Combat Evolved, the first one, with walls knocked down and then giving players the freedom to explore. And as they explore, there will be equipment and upgrades, but there shouldn't be proper RPG like skill trees and stuff like that. And that I don't think it will be.
So I mean, how do you keep players engaged from using like the same guns for not just a 10-15 hour campaign, but for multiple years,
Yeah, well, we know they've got upgrades, and because some of the screenshots that people have got from the trailer, you're looking on the map screen, there's like an upgrades menu that you can tab into. And from one of the quest descriptions on that menu, it says that you can get upgrades from missions. It just depends on how far these upgrades go. Like, is this going to be a traditional mini skill tree per weapon, like maybe a Doom style upgrade per weapon thing, or
I don't know. Personally, I think the gameplay demo was underwhelming, mostly because not about the graphics, because I think the graphics, while not spectacular, when you play the 4K video, it's still quite good. I mean, not the best in the market, but yeah. And but the gameplay, I think, is stale. I mean, my number one complaint with Halo for 4 years is that they have basically fallen behind. Generally, in terms of game design, game mechanics. I mean, it just feels old. And of course, there is a nostalgia factor kicking in, but I'm not sure it's enough these days. People want many options when they are approaching combat situations, maybe even involving stealth, but that doesn't seem to be an option. And I don't know, it just feels like, even in the moment-to-moment action, at least judging from the video, it didn't even feel as punchy when it comes to the raw combat action as Destiny 2. I mean, they still haven't matched Bungie, I think.
Well, I think we've just said, Halo Infinite is going to be a bit of it's one to watch, we'll say. That's been generous. But what about the other games? So what surprised everybody else? What was the biggest surprise or surprises? What about you, Alessio?
Well, in terms of course, it was a CGI trailer, but the new Obsidian game, Avowed. I mean, it's certainly intriguing. It's going to be set in the same world as Pillars of Eternity, which is interesting. Although it's actually not clear yet if it's going to be a prequel or a sequel, like many years in the future. Certainly is kind of a different time and era compared to the Pillars of Eternity games that we've seen. And of course, it's interesting because we've seen that it seems like Obsidian is trying to make their own Skyrim. At some point in the footage, we've seen players dual wielding like a spell in one hand and a sword in the other, and I'm assuming that will be in the game as well. And that was one of the big new features of Skyrim at the time. And I just think this will be, there are big chance, they're big shot at actually competing with the big guys in the RPG scene. I think they deserve it. I mean,
I would argue that they're already there. I mean, the Outer Worlds, they've got the new expansion coming there. And not only that, Obsidian made the best Fallout game without a shadow of a doubt. So I think everybody knows that Obsidian's got the quality there. They can make the games. It's just them having the money to do this, and well, they're being busy now. They've got Microsoft backing them financially, so they've got Grounded coming out soon. They've got the expansion to Outer Worlds, and then they've obviously announced this new game. So they're busy.
Yeah, that's basically what I meant, because now they finally have, just like Ninja Theory as well, and possibly even Exile, we'll see later, they have a bigger game coming as well after Western 3. So these independent developers, I think they finally have the chance, with Microsoft's backing, to make a game that is comparable to, the best ones in their genres. Whereas previously they were always struggling with the budget and always coming up often a bit short. Maybe it was polish, it was, I don't know, voice acting. And now they don't have any limits. So, at least in terms of the budget. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, when I saw the trailer for Avowed at first, and obviously it said Obsidian at the start, so I thought it was actually going to be Pillars of Eternity 3.
Okay.
Kind of happy to see that it's not. I'm kind of happy to see that they're doing something new and interesting. Personally, I wasn't crazy about the Outer Worlds, but the fact that they've got, as you guys have said, Microsoft money, that makes me more interested. I feel like they could go a little bit further and make something a little bit more interesting. For some reason, the Outer Worlds just didn't grab me, just didn't keep me interested. But to be honest, I think I've always had a problem with that RPG shooter hybrid thing. And I think I'd be a bit more okay with just some visceral axe sword slashing. Yeah.
So why is nobody excited about Grounded?
Which one was that?
That's the little tiny, like, where you're like little small people and there's shitload of insects around.
Right,
That's coming out quite soon, really. Another month, is it?
That doesn't look terrible, but then in the trailer, they had to start crafting their base, and I was like, oh, God, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm out at that point.
Right? I actually think it'd be so cool to have a game where you, like, explore a macro world where everything's giant compared to you. Like, you'd be weaving between blades of grass, like evading ants or whatever. I actually think conceptually it's incredible, but then from the trailer, it really looks like a tower defense game where the offenders are bugs.
It is, it's one of those things. I mean, you've got games that have come out which show you that small scale, like Bee Simulator that came out. And that's just, you're a bee. They're not quite the same as what you're talking about, but they're interesting.
I would really like, that experience of feeling really small in a big world, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but a video game, and seeing the trailer for this, I was like, oh, that's a really, really cool idea. And then seeing it go on, I was like, I don't care so much now. But it would be cool.
Which is your game from the showcase then?
My game of the showcase?
Either the one that stood out most for you for good or bad reasons. I know you're not happy about Fable.
Someone else go first. I'm looking for the list of games.
Go on, Kai.
Yeah, for me it was actually they're still talking about what it's going to be, but Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I mean, that game has been out in Japan for, I think it just had its 8-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. So the game is very long in the tooth, so I'm glad to see that it's finally getting an overhaul, even just a couple months after hitting the U.S. shores. Like, we're still playing catch-up to all the content that Japan has. Like, we still have, 5 years worth of story and content updates to catch up to. And now they dropped this new enhanced version of Phantasy Star on us.
Okay.
Yeah. The interesting thing, I think, is that they've said they are also overhauling Phantasy Star Online 2 in terms of graphics. So basically, even existing players on Phantasy Star Online 2 will have much better graphics.
Yeah, didn't they say it was going to be like a cross-play, cross-progression? You can like jump in and out of a new Genesis or standard version?
Yes. The unique thing to it, though, is you don't get like character growth. You also don't get to carry over like your money. So I'm not too sure if like you're importing the look of your character and your class, and then you're building off something new from that, or if they're treating it more of like an action game set within the same universe.
So with that
I
coming out on
see.
the Series X, is it also coming out on the PS5? Do we know? Or maybe this is Microsoft's way of finally trying to
I
grab
actually know this one. In Japan, they have
Yes.
confirmed it's coming out on PS4 and Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
In the
with
West, no.
Yeah.
Dunno.
The caveat to that is both Nintendo Switch and one of the PC versions are going to be their cloud gaming service, though. So
Okay.
that we might not see in the West, especially because a lot of the cloud streaming stuff, Resident Evil 7, I think one of the
Yep.
Assassin's Creeds on
Yeah,
Switch,
I can't remember
those
which
didn't
one.
make it out of Japan. Yeah.
I'm just quite
Yeah,
curious
totally.
if this is Microsoft's way of if it's exclusive on console to the Series X, maybe this is a way to try and grab some Japanese audience.
Well, actually, I don't think it's going to be next gen only. I mean, it's on Xbox One as well. It's going to be-
Yeah.
It's going to be on the Series X in 2022, 21.
I do now that we've mentioned the streaming service stuff on the Switch and stuff, I do wonder if this means because PSO2 New Genesis is going to have the Microsoft Azure stuff. I wonder if that would be a good introduction to the West for more cloud streaming stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Possibly.
I could see that working because, like we said, thus far, at least on Nintendo Switch, we've only seen the streamed gaming on like Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed in Japan because of the sort of closed circuit internet they've got almost. I'd be really interested to see what Microsoft Azure could bring to the global stage. And I think Microsoft definitely wants to make a big splash with all their cloud streaming stuff on next gen, which we can move on to soon.
Yeah, I mean, the games for me in the showcase, I mentioned one of them, Psychonauts 2. Again, it's Psychonauts. It's number 2. I love Psychonauts.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm a massive fan of the old Stalker games, so I'm looking forward to Stalker 2, but at the same time, I'm not. Simply because the developers of the original Stalker games are no longer there. They are making Metro. That's just how it is.
Well, at least some of them. I mean, some
the
of them
core
are stayed
ones.
there.
Yeah, the core people behind the series are. But I mean, they've got experience. They've made games like that, so it will be interesting to see how it works out. I mean, I love Stalker, so I will be playing that the second it comes out.
Yeah,
not
they
before.
said that it should be one of the biggest open world games to date. Also, the first game had this incredibly advanced, at least for the time, AI, and now they're calling it A-Life 2.0. Basically, they said it will control the state of the world and the behavior of characters and mutants, make the zone ever-changing, truly alive. And of course, this is mostly marketing speech, but
it's
we'll
just going to
see.
be it's just going to be strange because the developers, GSC Game World, haven't made it. This is Stalker 2 is meant to come out next year. They haven't. That'll be their first game released in 5 years, and before that they had 7 years. It's like Call of Pripyat 2009, Cossacks 3 was 2016, and then now 2021. How long have they been developing this?
Yeah, I think it was scrapped at some point. I mean, they had announced it. They announced Stalker 2 a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then they basically rebooted it. I think that's why.
Yeah. So they began development, I think, right after Call of Pripyat, and then they scrapped it and made Cossacks 3, which a big change from a reasonably open world shooter, quite atmospheric horror shooter. I say horror, but you know what I mean, to a strategy game.
Yeah, but they made the previous Cossacks games as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they did. Yeah. It's going to be quite interesting to see. I mean, as I said, I love the S.T.A.L.K.E.R series. That's again, you can see how it branched out. The core people from GSC, they went on to make Metro series, so it'll be interesting to see what the other people can make. And again, Psychonauts 2. I just want more brain bending journeys.
Absolutely. I think now that I've looked through the list, my personal game of the show, I'm split actually, and I'm very disappointed about the fact that I am split.
You love
And
Fable,
the fact that the things I'm split between aren't all that good. First of all, Tetris Effect Connected, very exciting.
Tetris Effect is good. It's very good.
Tetris Effect is great. I'm very excited for Tetris Effect Connected. Not releasing multi-platform till summer 2021. Oh, god damn! Why would they do that to me? I'm not gonna care in a year.
It's just
in a year.
You know what timed exclusives are like. Everybody moans about the Epic Game Store.
God. Okay, so that's my opinion on Tetris Effect Connected. I'd love to be excited about that. And the other one is actually The Gunk from Image and Form Games, which obviously we know Image and Form from making the SteamWorld series.
Yeah.
And all of the SteamWorld games have been pretty darn good. They've all had a unique flow to them. Like you start playing them, and then 2-3 hours pass, and you're just still playing it. And I really admire them for that. And so, SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Quest, and SteamWorld Heist were all very good. And so I would like to see what's going to come from them next. I don't know what the gunk is from the trailer. I'm not actually that interested, but I have faith they will do something good.
It's due to the developer itself that you're interested.
Absolutely.
So what's
Alessio's favorite?
I can say, have you actually mentioned the game that you're most interested in?
Yeah, I've mentioned Avowed.
You did.
Okay.
Yes.
So
we haven't touched on the one game that I keep taunting Dave with, Fable.
Hold on, I need to throw something.
I mean, I don't think I'm not sure why Dave was particularly disappointed. I mean, maybe because of the MMO rumors. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the ones. He's just gone now. He's gone.
So let me tell you. Let me put that down first. I, as a wee nip, was the biggest Fable fan. Like Fable 1, love it, adore it. Fable 2, a bit disappointed, still a big fan. Fable 3, no. We've gone too far.
As a standalone, if it wasn't so hyped, I could enjoy Fable 3. It was average, and I will say it's an average game, but I enjoyed the management aspects of it as well. It brought together RPG and management simulation, which are things I absolutely love. I played, but
it was the thing is, it didn't go deep enough with any of them.
No, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
It teased you a lot with
it's quite superficial.
Like when you first start up the game and when you first become the king, it makes you think that there's going to be like so many options which are going to so massively change the game, and then when you actually play it, you're like, weren't that much were there?
No.
And I want to be excited for Fable, but we've discussed games which look really good, and we've discussed games that we're excited for based on the developer, and then I look at Fable, and it's got neither. It's got a CGI trailer, and they're like the guys from Forza Horizon are doing it.
Yeah, but
what RPGs they made?
Yeah, but to be fair, Creative Assembly, strategy developers, just pure strategy, they made one of the best survival horror games of recent memory. So, a good caliber developer can still branch out.
I believe it. I believe it. I wanna have faith. I wanna say this is. No, I don't want to say this is the Alien Isolation of the generation. Actually, that's not what I want to say.
I know,
but
one can hope.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying. I have high hopes because Playground Games have a lot of experience, and I think if the MMO rumor is true, big asterisk, if that's true, it makes sense because Playground Games have obviously been incorporating sort of always online functions into Forza for a while.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving around, you see other people or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, because of Forza as well, really big, wide open worlds. And in Forza Horizon 4, which I was playing today, British, which is kind of what Fable is.
Yeah.
So
bring back John Cleese.
I mean, you know, if you just remove the cars and put in blokes with swords, you're almost there. But so many things could go wrong.
Oh, what are you thinking, Alessio?
Well, I think, of course, it's way too early to make any kind of final judgment. But I think the trailer did show that the humor is still there. You know, the core humor that's Fable. I think was already in the trailer, which is promising. And you know, regarding the shared world elements, I think if they are, you know, optional, maybe they are baked into the story. I don't know. Maybe there is an in-lore explanation for other heroes coming from other dimensions. I don't know, stuff like that. It could be nice, as long as you know, it's optional and the main story is still you know, big, expansive, and a full experience.
That's fair enough. And yeah, you've been quite quiet, Kai. What are you thinking?
I mean, I already talked about PSO, but the other one I'm kind of curious about.
I'm just thinking Fable.
For Fable. I've only played the first one, and the bloody thing, I kind of got bored midway through, but I think that's probably because I was like, my expectations were so high with Molyneux talking up, you know, all this unique stuff you're going to be able to do with your character progression and the state of the world and how the story is going to matter, and it just didn't.
I still remember.
Did you play that when it came out as well?
Yeah.
I still remember Molyneux talking about how you could plant a tree, plant a seed in Fable, and by the end of the game it would be a tree. It's like, come on, Peter. Come on, Peter. Just mind it in a bit.
But yeah, I gotta say, the whole Fable MMO thing, I gotta say, I believe it. I believe it because as soon as the Fable trailer starts, the first line is, "The world is filled with stories." And then it talks about how there's like infinite heroes and infinite villains. And...
yeah, it does sound. Yeah, it's like setting up an MMO, that sort of thing.
It is, and also, just I'm not even going to do the also. I'm not going to do the also. Yeah. We're done.
It's not going to be MMO. It's going to be a live service title.
Ah!
No!
I mean, you know, massively multiplayer online game are always
it is a type of live service, but it's like I know what type of live service the guys are talking about. He's thinking the Destiny or the Marvel's Avengers or even worse, Anthem. Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, but you know, I think at least you know, one of the interesting things is that it seems to be made for next gen only, which is, again, it's an interesting topic because you know, Microsoft said that they didn't want exclusives for a couple of years.
Yeah, they're going. They see that we were gonna. That's the next topic. Is the business. See what sort of business are Microsoft going for? I don't think they're going to stick to that no exclusive things for a couple of years because already they've got. We already know that Stalker's a console exclusive. They've already said that Stalker 2 is going to be a console exclusive, and I wouldn't be surprised if you found that, well, anything made by a Microsoft studio, from Obsidian to, well, anybody. When State of Decay, that'll be a console exclusive, of course. So, again, I just don't believe in that no console exclusive line. Again, they can say no exclusives, everything's coming to the PC. Technically, they're right, but yeah. So
yeah, no, I'm just mostly talking about you know, support of the Xbox One, which is yeah, it was a bit confusing because I think The Verge even wrote an article about it. There was like at the end of a trailer, there were logos for the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and PC, but on the Xbox Wire, the website, there was no mention of the Xbox One version. I'm not sure what game was that, but I mean, there was some confusing messaging regarding the availability of the games across generations from Microsoft.
Yeah,
so
I think the games over the up until the end of 2021, I think they're the ones that are going to be suitable for the Xbox One. Maybe you'll find some in 2022, but they're going to want to within the year and a half after launch of the console, they're going to want to phase the old one out.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's how you get people to buy it. It's just that is what it is. Plus, you're not forcing developers to scale back a game to old gen hardware.
Yeah. Also, I think Phil Spencer said that, of course, PCs have always had to deal with scaling because of the nature of the platform, and they, of course, PC didn't have any major problems while still having to support lower end PCs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it's the same thing with consoles. I mean, the Xbox One, the base Xbox One is really an old piece of hardware by this point, right?
I mean, of course.
And I think as much as you spin it, if you have to make a game that also runs on Xbox One, it's just not going to be able to, squeeze out everything in the new hardware. It's just the way of how things are.
So the question I asked earlier, which is sort of the same link I linked it to Phantasy Star Online too, how do we think Microsoft are going to target the Asian audience? Because let's face it, that's where they've failed miserably every single outing.
Well, I think a very major part of that will be xCloud, because they've just announced the xCloud launch is coming in September, I think, and it will be basically bundled with Xbox Game Pass. So that's potentially a great combo for breaking through into markets that are tougher, like Asia, and especially in Japan, where they are always heavily connected. Maybe they don't now they won't need to buy an Xbox console, but they'll still be in the ecosystem.
I can see that. I think for me, part of like you said, at least they'll be in the ecosystem at a small. They'll generate some revenue for Microsoft at a small level. But for me, I think it's getting people to invest in the ecosystem at a higher degree to buy the games. I can see they've partnered with Sega now. The Yakuza series is coming out on the Xbox, so I just can't see many. I've still not seen or heard of many games that could generate that interest in that audience, whereas Sony's always got a litany of it. I don't know what Kai or Dave think.
I think Microsoft are definitely going to make those slow moves into Japan. We've already mentioned multiple times now PSO2 Genesis.
Yeah.
And we said that in Japan, at least, it's being marketed as also being on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. Really interestingly, it is not being marketed as being available on Xbox One. Possibly just a sign of how few Xbox Ones have been sold in Japan, to be honest. But in the past, we've had multiple rumors about Microsoft xCloud potentially making its way to Switch, potentially making its way to mobile devices or even other consoles. I think that'd be totally smart, especially for the Japanese audience. I wouldn't even be shocked if they did maybe a trial in the Asian region before moving out into the West, because like we've got a lot of people in Japan who are more and more pressed for time than ever. They're more and more playing games on the go, or they're less and less using like a home setup. having a Nintendo Switch to play those games on would be fantastic. Of course, the main issue would be no internet connection when you're out and about. We'll see how that's tackled. I definitely think Microsoft are being really, I'm not sure I'm going to say smart. I want to say interesting. I am fascinated by Microsoft's approach in general right now to like subscription services. I think I am more likely to invest in like a Game Pass Ultimate subscription than I am a Series X.
Yeah.
And we've spoke about this before. We spoke about how we prefer having as many games as possible available to us, as opposed to doubling down on a PC and an Xbox. Me and you said that before, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I've got the PC. I'll not be touching an Xbox.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Xbox games are coming out on the PC.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll be getting an Xbox either. But now that there's so many like things they are introducing, I do think to myself, hey, I could maybe find myself paying for a Game Pass subscription long term, you know? Yeah. As it is right now, maybe not. But once we've got xCloud and everything introduced, I think it could be a really, really powerful proposition.
Don't know if this has been mentioned, but with you mentioning mobiles for xCloud, do you think there's a possibility of Microsoft trying to branch out into China? Because as we know, that the actual audience there, mobile audience in particular, that's hundreds of millions, billions of dollars.
I think it would be incredibly smart of Microsoft to focus on streaming Game Pass xCloud into China. I mean, obviously there's a decent PC market there already, but not high powered.
Yeah,
that would be perfect for xCloud.
Well, that's why
mobile gaming, as we've said. Yeah, mobile games in the same space as well, not high powered but very popular. xCloud would be natural to both of those.
Yeah, I mean, I think Samsung actually recently announced a new smartphone, which is labeled as xCloud optimized. Yeah. I'm not sure what that means.
The Fold one, some Galaxy Fold 5, or I don't know which one it was.
Yeah,
there's a million of them.
It's interesting because actually Microsoft has been working with Samsung on a number of things. Samsung also seemingly is pushing with Microsoft to support ultra-wide resolutions on Xbox. We said that last week, I think. So it's interesting to see how they will, further this partnership, both on the mobile and on the screen front.
Yeah. So what are you thinking, Kai, on the business front?
xCloud's definitely going to be the major push for them, especially if they could start licensing a lot more like Japanese RPGs for the Asian audiences. But if they're going to be focusing on mobile with xCloud, they need to have an official xCloud controller. Like touchscreen only control might work for some RPGs, but it's not ideal. You have stuff like the newer Razer controllers that are pushing for xCloud compatibility, but you don't have anything officially Microsoft. I mean, if Microsoft wants to release, say a clip for their controllers, so that someone can use it with injunction with their iOS or Android device, great. Okay. And it's not like there's any issues with bandwidth or network strength to be able to run these RPGs, as we can clearly see in South Korea, Japan, mainland China, and so forth. But it's going to be the game offerings on Xbox Game Pass that might make or break it for the Japanese audience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the West, they've been building quite the impressive library in terms of Western games, and of course, it will be interesting to see how many Japanese games or Asian games they can get onto Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but we have Dragon Quest XI S coming to Xbox Game Pass as well as other platforms.
Yeah.
That one's going to be a little weird in the West because it's going to be a port of the Nintendo Switch version. So when you're looking at that on PS4 compared to the original PS4 version, it's going to sound better. It's not going to look better by any means at all.
I imagine.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that before we finished up because I thought it was interesting to mention as well. But yeah. It basically comes with all the visual downgrades they gave the Switch version, other than resolution, but then with all the upgrades to like the sound library and the story, which is madness. But cool. It is a bit of a shame because when I saw that announced, I was like, oh yeah, now I can see all the new stuff, but with like better graphics. And then apparently it's like, no, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? I mean, they could up the graphics, surely, right?
They said that they ran the definitive edition on a newer version of Unreal Engine 4, and it's incompatible with the older stuff. I don't know how true that is, but it seems like a big sacrifice, honestly.
Yeah. Oh.
Like there truly is no definitive edition of that game now.
Right. Fair enough.
Since we're still on business, before we move off of business, I do want to.
I think when we're done with business, that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll quickly go over this. Thank God we got unlimited time today. Xbox Live Gold. Not long ago, someone on my Twitter, I believe it was Liam Robertson, pointed out that on Microsoft's official site, which I am looking at right now, you can no longer buy a 12-month subscription for Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah, I'd read about that a week or so back. That wasn't
it?
Yeah.
It was a little while ago. It was just before the Xbox showcase. You can no longer buy 12 months of gold, and that was just before, literally the day before they announced that Game Pass Ultimate was going to be getting beefed up. You know, to me, what this says is that going into next gen, and I've said this in previous podcasts before, going into next gen, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is going to be Microsoft's key product. They're going to have the Series X, make no mistake about it, but the key product will be Game Pass because that will be sold to not just Xbox players and not just PC players, but thanks to xCloud, it'll be sold to everyone. And if Sony play nice, potentially even appear on PlayStation and Switch and everything, potentially. Obviously, zero guarantees.
Yeah.
But in the last few years, we've seen Microsoft reach out a lot of hardware manufacturers like Nintendo, like publishing Cuphead and Minecraft, etc.
So if they're scrapping gold, does that mean the online multiplayers, the gateway to that will be moved to the Game Pass sort of thing, or?
Basically, I think they're going to long-term just try and incorporate it.
Yeah.
You know? All of those people that only use their Xbox to play online on FIFA are now going to also have Game Pass, which will cost them more, but it will offer more value.
Yeah. If they use the value, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
But either way, imagine going from everyone who is only paying for Xbox Live Gold right now, who's paying apparently it's £7 a month. That's insane. I was going to say £5.
What, it's $7.99? I thought it was.
Yeah, it's $6.99. I didn't know that. I thought it was a little bit less than that. It's gone up in recent years. They're going from that to basically double that price. All of those people that are currently, all those people that are currently paying the minimum, their minimum is essentially going to double. Yes, they're going to have more value, but that long term is going to be a lot more money in
theory,
Microsoft's
though,
pocket.
That could turn people off who aren't interested in the rest of it.
I completely agree, but I think the price increase will probably make up for who they lose, and it's gonna end up being a bit like Netflix, where they're gonna initially say, "Hey, look at this incredible value," and then a couple years down the line, when you can't imagine yourself living without it, they're gonna put the price up slowly. Yeah, they're gonna put the price up slowly.
Like
At
any
least
good
that's what I
dealer.
expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's been pretty clear for maybe a couple of years now that Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud are critical in Microsoft's strategy, and of course they've been talking about reaching billions of gamers, and the only way to do that is really to merge these two together and enable
to China.
Enable players from all over the world, all over the kind of devices, be it PC, console, or mobile. They all must have access to this platform, and if they can pull it off, then they will rake in the benefits.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that Microsoft might actually just flat out drop the Xbox Live Gold tier for next gen. It's going to be a lot of profit that they're losing, but even if they announce that their console is going to be a little bit more expensive than the PlayStation 5, they can leverage that as, hey, you do not need to pay, $50-$60 a year if you want to play Halo Online. But if you do want xCloud, if you do want to get Halo on the Game Pass, we have that option for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It could be interesting to see how it all turns out, but with you mentioning about game prices having to pay so much, I think that's going to be a discussion for another day, because that might be the way to lure people in as game prices increase. A subscription for a month. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Although Ubisoft said that it's not going up.
Yeah. Well, they said that up until Christmas. They said the games released this Christmas won't be going up. I listened to the conference call and I covered the financial report. So we can talk about this another time. But yeah, for me, they're waiting and seeing how it works for 2K or Take-Two. And we'll see.
The prices will go up. They will go up.
They will.
I promise you.
But yes. So unless anybody else has got something to say about the games and Microsoft's potential business moves, I think we've covered everything.
I
Dave?
want a Microsoft Switch. There we go.
Microsoft moved into handheld.
X-Boy. I think that.
Yeah, here we go. That actually sounds like a good name. I can imagine saying I got my X-Boy.
Sounds a bit better than the PSP or the PS Vita. I
got my X-Boy. I like it.
Anything, Kai?
No, I'm all for the X-Boy if and when that wants to drop.
That's the name of this podcast, X-Boy.
Microsoft handheld console confirmed? Question mark.
No, I think as we've said before, Microsoft is playing the long game, and it will take some time to get there. Both in terms of business models, as 5G is rolled out globally, and xCloud, Xbox Game Pass, and of course their new exclusives coming from the newly bought studios. I think it will take 2 to 3 years, I'd say, but I think in that time frame they will be very well positioned to have everything they wanted to achieve, possibly. Until then, however, I think the PlayStation 5 is probably going to be, at the center of console gamers, at the mind of console gamers, because they just have more interesting original games and exclusive games for now.
For now, we'll see, but that will be something to see in the future.
Yeah. To be fair, final thought. Microsoft's first-party lineup, I insulted it in years past, but with all the studio acquisitions they made in the last couple of years, it's really convincing.
Well, the first-party lineup when they launched the Xbox One was absolutely abysmal.
Oh my god, terrible. And then after that, that's when they shut down Lionhead, etc.
Yeah.
So it was terrible. But right now, they're in an excellent position. They are in a really good position to rival Sony.
It should benefit them.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's everything for today, unless somebody's got anything else to say. Nope. Right, that's everything. So thank you for joining us, everybody. And as always, it's lovely to see you, Dave. Right, and thank you, everybody. And goodbye.
Bye.
Till next time.